right, so I'm here with my good friend Ori, and she is highly acclaimed in the art space, and I'm just so happy to be with you. And I got some really great questions I want to get out of you, some great answers I think a lot of people want to hear. So I'm so excited to ask those questions, and I'm gonna ask you the first question. So, as a woman navigating in the art space, what do you believe is the biggest mind shift that women need to have when it comes to creating their brand, when it comes to building legacy, and ultimately making money with their art? What is the
Okay,
biggest mindset you think? Yeah.
so I'm going to speak about not just female artists. I'm going
Okay.
to involve every artist.
Okay.
And I think the biggest shift is that art, at the end of the day, is like any other business.
Mm,
And you, as an artist, you are the entrepreneur. So your creativity is your product, and your job is to make that product valuable, not just emotionally, but with a strategy. So let me give you an example. Imagine your art is like a coffee brand, and there's thousands and millions of coffee brands out there. So how are you going to make your coffee brand stand out? So there's actually all these questions are going to come in, like what's the story behind it, what's the identity of your brand, what's your identity as an artist, if you're going to, how are you going to sell this? It's going to be online, it's going to be in pop-ups. Let's say you're going to go to a gallery. In a coffee example will be like a supermarket. Once you're in the shelves, let's say you made it to the gallery, how are you going to stand out of the other art that is that is right there? So that's when strategies, branding, marketing, everything comes in. And as an artist, you have to believe that your art is your product. So you gotta treat it like that. Of course, it's a little bit different because at the end of the day, you are the one. You're an artist. It's gonna be like a big responsibility too. But I would say like you have to think like a creative, but you gotta act as a business person.
I like that. Think like a creative, but act like a business person. Because at the end of the day, yes, your art is your love. Yes, your art is your life, but it's also business. People can make money off of you guys. So why not you guys be able to make money as well? It makes sense. And speaking of money, a lot of people make money at places like the Art Basel, places that you yourself have been featured. And with stuff like that, what is the creative, like what do female emerging artists really need to know when stepping into something like the Art Basel and building that cultural and businesswoman aspect when doing something so big as an Art Basel?
So, as I said before, art is a business. So, imagine Art Basel is the biggest conference in our field.
Yes.
So, whether you're going to go there just for exhibiting your work or you just want to go to be part of it as a creative and make connections, an amazing opportunity.
It is.
It is great. But for example, as again, you're going to go to this conference, you have to be ready. You have to make your product being ready for whatever you want to do with it.
Hmm.
So you gotta go to Arba. So you gotta be there with a strategy. What are you gonna do? I seen this mistake a lot, and I'm gonna give you a real advice.
Yeah.
There's thousands of events in Art Basel, but
Okay.
if I'm gonna recommend any artist something, is that make sure if you wanna make an exhibition, that this exhibition is going to give you real contacts, like real collectors.
So this is a tip for all the artists that are considering featuring themselves in something as big as an Art Basel. She's about to break down some really key tips and tricks that will really help you stand out in a big space like this. So, right, get your notepads ready.
Yeah. So if you're going to go there, for example, first of all, make sure if you're going to make an exhibition, make sure you're going to have one that is going to bring you real collectors. If it's not, I recommend you to use your time wisely. Instead of going to an exhibition, you can actually go to all the thousands events that there are out there and then just go and make connections. But for
Interesting.
this, you have to be ready. You have to have a solid portfolio, a clear concept, and knowing how to talk about your work. So yeah, I think that's kind of my honest. And also, I will say skip the parties if they are not actually, if you see that they're not going to give you a real value, because there's thousands of events in Art Basel. So you got to be kind of aware of where you want to go.
So when you're doing events like this, it sounds like okay. Not only do you need to be focused on your art, but you need to focus on where you spend your time trying to push your art and making sure that it's done in places that are worth your time ultimately. And speaking of worth your time, what would you say to young women that are trying to juggle the idea of following their passion versus having a career. Okay, I would rather do art, but I have to work this 9 to 5. What would you say to young women who are trying to figure out, should I follow my art passion, or should I just go to work? Or what would you say to someone like that is struggling with it?
So art is a beautiful career, but it's a
Yeah.
career that comes with a lot of resilience. Okay. So you have to make sure you really, really, really love what you do.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say this is the most important thing because you're going to have a lot of doubts, a lot of rejection. There's going to be a lot of things out there. And then you got to be strong enough that you're going to just keep going in your path. For
Yeah.
this to happen, you have to make sure that you know what your concept as an artist is. Like,
Okay.
who are you as an
Know
artist? What I'm
I
going to
love that.
express.
I love that.
Yeah.
Know
So,
who
and
you are
as
as an
I said,
artist. Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you feel like women should have to choose between following their passion with art or the career, or do you feel like what do you? I know it's kind of hard to like. I know you're not. I know I'm not asking you to tell women what to do personally, but I am saying if someone's struggling out there with the idea of go to work or follow my passion, like what do you say to that? Because I know a lot of women are struggling with that. Should I follow my heart, my dreams, and do this thing, or just go to work?
Well, I'm kind of one of those women, actually. I've been in that situation many times in my life. So believe me. So again, I have to sit down with myself and said, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then once you're going to make a decision, you're going to also, it is, I mean, as you have to make sure also you are the artist. So you have to make sure that you are okay.
Yes.
I would say this is one of the best advices. Follow your passion, but you have to follow your passion in a way that you are okay as a person. You know, you have to be really soft with yourself because it's not an easy career. So, um, once you build a solid, right now, I would say, for example, you have a 9 to 5 job and that's how you're going to pay your bills. Then you use your extra time to build your art career. And how am I going to build my art career is the same way as you're going to build a business. Watch videos, watch podcasts, read, inform yourself. And then the same steps that you're going to do, that you, whenever you're going to create a new brand or a new product, is going to be the same steps that you're going to make as an artist. It's just like the words change a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the same.
It'll be the
Once
same.
you see that you have a consistent, amount of money that you're going to be able to pay your bills, you're able to quit your 9 to 5. But before that, I recommend you to start slow and build your concept, your passion, and your career.
So don't just jump off and quit your job before you have a stable art something going on. Like you should have at least some kind of gallery you're working with, someone's buying your art. And I think for people, I would say this too, just get started. I think a lot of times people have this thing, or they're not gonna like my art. Who am I gonna sell it to? Am I really good? And I would just say too, if you're thinking about something, especially as like you said, as complex as art, like just get started. Like don't overthink it, because you're going to figure out ways to get out of it. You're going to come up with a million things to do. The kids need to go out of school. It's summer school, and there's going to be all of the reasons why you can't or you shouldn't. But if you really feel called to do this art, then do it, whether it's sculpting or painting or whatever it's calling you. What do you believe is the most misunderstood thing about divine feminine energy?
Well, this is actually an amazing question. I would say that the challenge would be that nowadays women are involved in this new concept, which is feminism. And what's going on is that when you are a woman that you're wearing a lot of hats, let's say you're in the house, but you have to be in the business, you have to work, you have to pay the bills, you have to do everything yourself. Like there's going
Your
to be a
structure.
point.
Yeah, you're creating structure all day long. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a point that you might get a little demanding, or I'm gonna get like kind of hustling, and so that those kind of actions are gonna bring me to this masculine energy. So that's why majority of the women right now are built. Actually, they have not a great balance between the feminine energy and the masculine energy, because we have to be out there chasing. Also, as well, when the feminine energy is something that is more calm, it is creative, it is nice, it is
It's flowing.
nurturing.
Yeah, yeah. It's in the
So
moment. Yeah, it's so interesting. That's wow. Yeah, I guess yeah, you in order to access the whole divine aspect, there has to be balance. And so there's nothing divine about having a an emotional imbalance because you're torn one way because you have to wear all these hats. So I guess women have to come to grips, I guess, and come to balance with, okay, how do I wear all these hats but still have the essence of femininity within myself, to where I'm not over exhausting myself all day in the masculine, to where it's really hard for me to even access my feminine because I'm so deep inside the masculine hat wearing. So that's really good. Yeah.
yeah, that happens to me a lot. I have a really strong energy.
Yeah.
And then once I'm feeling that, I'm like, okay, Oriana, you have to calm down. I'm a little too demanding, too like, oh my God, I just get there and I make it happen. I'm like, okay, calm. And I feel that actually I'm not feeling the femininity inside of me.
Really?
So I was like, I mean, of course I have it. So when I feel, I already kind of, I'm conscious about my body, my actions. So when I
Yeah.
feel like I'm that way, I'm taking a
Yeah.
stop and I relax.
Good.
I meditate. I do something girly. I put makeup on. I put like a nice clothing and then just kind of spoil myself a little bit.
You bring
Spoiling
it
is a good
down a
way of
notch.
being.
Yeah, sounds like you bring it down a notch. You're like, okay, hold on, I'm really up here. I need to bring it down, and you do little things, and that's a really good tip for women out there. Do things that soften you throughout the day, especially if you are doing a lot of masculine activities, like you just said, the baths, the makeup, the do things that create that softness in you if you can't find it, in your day to day.
I know, for example, makeup goes up a little superficial. But for example, I get my dog and I just like, I might, I just kind of also with my friends, have a girl time,
Yeah,
just treat yourself with like a lot of, understand that it's okay because it's normal that you're going to be strong.
yeah,
Just take a step back and chill.
I love that. That's funny. The challenge is okay, this is really good. So, in a world that is full of profit, how do you stay rooted in your ancestral truths about what it is that you're doing with the art? Like, okay, how do you stay true to, like, okay, what you're doing, why you're doing it in a world full of, okay, why don't you just make a bunch of art, put it all out? Who cares if it's on par? Just give people art. Like, how do you stay rooted in your core values of, like, why you value art? Why is it important to you? Like, how do you stay rooted in values that are important?
So art is a really, it's a career where you have to be really grounded, okay?
Okay.
Because you have to remember that you have a big responsibility as an artist. It's not just about, and also you have to remember every time, why am I doing this? And you have to be conscious of why are you being an artist? What are you gonna get to the world? Because at the end of the day,
I love
we
that.
can be artists if there's nobody seeing our art, right? So
Yeah, that's like a leader. That's like a person saying they're a leader and no one's following you.
exactly. Everybody's gonna say something every single time. You gotta be also really, for example, I'm a person, I love to hear the opinions of people because this is a way that I can grow as a person and as an artist, but you also have to be conscious of what kind of opinions you're gonna get. Right? What are kind of opinions I'm gonna say, okay, maybe this person is right. But you have to maintain truth with your art, with your style, and with who you are as an artist, with your identity. Sometimes, for example, I have a really bold art that for I have people that they told me they love it and they are like amazed with the art that I do. But then I have other people that will say, "Oh, I don't think I like it. You should do something more commercial." The people that are telling me that should do something more commercial, they don't really have kind of like the sensibility of connecting with my art. And then you probably are going to be like the kind of person that they're just going to follow trends, and there's going to be always trends in fashions and in art. So how are you going to maintain being yourself? You have to be unique. That's what's going to make you a great artist.
That's so funny because it's how you tied that exactly into, okay, I have a I have my art that I do. I have what I'm great at, what my niche, what appeals to me, what I see. And here it is, people telling you, you know what? Your art's great. This is good stuff, but why don't you do something more in tune with with modern times? Something a little bit more. What's the word you used? Used
Commercial.
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 Something you can put in Target and Walmart and world. What
Yeah, something that is easy to buy. There's a lot of artists. I'm not gonna mention names because I don't wanna like.
art
There's
shame?
a Yeah, there's a lot of art that you wanna see out there. They don't really have any meaning. It's just something that is trendy and it looks cute in your house, and that's why it is easy to buy. It's easy to mass produce, so that's another reason why. But I prefer to be where I'm at right now as an artist. I think a lot of the people who have to connect with will connect, and then you're always going to have your own. That's something that a lot of artists have to understand. There's always going to be your people. You're always going to have your public.
So you're
You
saying
don't need to be
stay true.
everybody's public to be successful.
So you're saying stay true to your brand as you become an artist, as you grow it and your artistry. You're saying stay true to who you are, what you stand for, and what type of art you really feel proud to produce.
Yes, 100%.
I
There's
love
gonna be
that.
your time, and then you're gonna be mastering your own craft.
Yeah, yeah. Instead
So
of
that's actually amazing. If you change it to, if you actually take your art that is amazing and you're just gonna be flipping it into something commercial, it's
yeah,
fine, but on your identity. But if you wanna switch being amazing to just being like anybody else, I don't think it makes so much sense.
no, it doesn't. I think. And speaking of that, if you, speaking of being true to yourself, if you could whisper something into the hearts of every young girl or boy considering getting into the art space, what would you say to them and why?
This is something that I tell myself as well. And I'm like, remember the first time you got a brush in your hands and you finished like a canvas. Once you saw that canvas and you said, oh my God, you know what? I have talent. And you put that movie into your head. I have talent and I want to do this and I want to do that. And that's when your dream started. Go back to that moment. Try to remember that one. I have like something I remember one time when I just started my career. I was in a balcony and I promised myself, I say, Ori, you know what? I'm going to make everything possible to make my art being something, you know?
Yeah.
I promised myself I'm going to be an artist. And at that time, I couldn't even call myself an artist, you know, because you have like, you know,
You're like, no
kind of,
one's buying anything yet. I don't know if I'm an
no, I
artist.
didn't even know. Like, I was just like, I was just drawing, okay? And I remember that every time, and that keeps me grounded. Also, take stops if you need that, okay? Don't feel bad if you feel that everybody's creating and you're not. Take stops, breathe, and be nice with yourself and treat yourself the way you would like to be treated. So, it is actually an amazing mantra. So, you're your best friend, honestly. So, you have to be nice.
So, kids, be kind to yourself. Give yourself some time. Give yourself grace. And there's a lot of technology out there too. Use AI and use all that stuff to help you create the concepts. Maybe you have an idea in your mind and you can't figure out how to put it on pencil or pad or you know, what do you call it? Canvas, but you consult with AI and all of a sudden you figure it out. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, about AI, I would say,
AI
listen,
and art.
AI is
That's a
amazing,
whole.
but it's not your brain, okay? It's never gonna have the same the creativity that you're gonna have if you really are an artist. You're gonna actually gonna take a paper and you wanna be a unique artist. Take the time to create by yourself, and then after you'll figure it out. But create with a piece of paper first, or take, for
Create with a
example,
piece of
your
paper.
iPad, but draw yourself an idea, and then you can start finding inspiration and then building it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this
Because
has been
sometimes,
amazing.
sorry, sometimes what happens nowadays is like we have so many tools that we forget to use our own talents, right?
Yes.
Because it might take, it's going to be a little more tedious. Maybe with the tools, going to be way easier. But I'm encourage everybody to, keep it at old school.
Use your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be the best. The best pieces of art you're gonna have, like, are gonna be when you actually create it yourself. Believe me.
Well, it looks like we just ran out of time. So I really appreciate this. This has been freaking amazing. I
Thank you
want
so much for
you
having
to,
me.
yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm gonna get some of your tags. We're gonna put them inside of there so they can follow you, where they can find your art, where they can buy it, and we'll dive more into art too, and how you make art, how you like how some stuff we're talking about, like the business side of art, because I think a lot of times people don't really talk about that, and I think we'll maybe unpack that a little bit more, like not just art, but how do you make money on your art, and what does that look like, and what is that process? So thank you so much for coming on, and we'll circle back. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Take care.